Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Happy Wednesday. Hump day, smack dab, middle of the week. Let's go. Thank you so much for being here, connecting, being Up+Adam. My name is Adam Montiel. Later in the show, we're talking with a guy who knows how to build something that hits. Not just with flavor, but with feeling. Real hospitality. John MacKinnon is the owner of Todo Bueno at the Slow Public Market. It's a fast, casual Mexican kitchen that's doing things with tacos. Oh my God, the quesadillas, the jalapeno cream that'll stop you mid-bite and make you rethink what casual even means. This isn't slapped together food. It's layered, seared, seasoned, and served with the kind of heart that's rare these days, especially packaged the way he's doing it. He's also the man behind Moonstone Beach Bar and Grill, a Cambria landmark that's been serving locals and wanderers for over 30 years. But Todo Bueno? That's the next chapter. That's the new chapter. We're going to talk tortillas, pandemic pivots, staff culture, burger guilt, and what it really means to build something small but mighty. If you love food, love slow, or just love a good story about someone giving a damn, stick around. John MacKinnon today is Up+Adam. Now, this article, people used to scoff at the idea of taking mental health days at work. Some still do. But here's another reason to abandon that attitude. A new study found working too many hours a week literally changes the structure of your brain. Yeah, researchers scanned the brains of 110 healthcare workers and split them into two categories, overworked and not overworked. They defined overworked as 52 hours a week or more. What they found, really fascinating. Well, what they find? Well, they found that working that much can cause significant changes in parts of the brain associated with executive function and even emotional regulation. It can mess with your decision-making skills, cause you to get emotional, fly off the handle even. Also, it can affect memory, attention span. These aren't small things. And they don't look at the long-term effects, but they suspect that being overworked for years on end certainly isn't great for your mental health. Duh, right? Especially if you work through weekends, never take vacation. Maybe that mental day, maybe that vacay, needed now more than ever. All right, before we chat with our guest today, I want to talk to you about Pink Drank. Excited Pink Drank is back Saturday, July 12th, Elks Lodge, San Luis Obispo. Over 30 of the hottest producers in wine, beer, cider, spirits, cocktails, all poolside, all dressed in pink. Curated bites, past apps, swimming, live DJ. It is for the grown and sexy, 21 and over, no kids. And this isn't your average tasting. That is for sure. This is summer served sexy, my friend. It all supports the Woods Humane Society, also the Elks National Foundation, so you can party with purpose. Feel good about it. It's for the 21 and over again, priced like it shouldn't be. Come on, $65? I found another event that's doing something late June, over $100. And they don't even have that many more wineries than we do. Pinkdrank.org. And we got a pool, and we got the sunshine, and we got pink. Come on now. DRANK, spell it, pinkdrank.org. We'll see you there.
It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, my guest today, he has been feeding this county, literally and culturally, for over 30 years. You might know him from Moonstone Beach Bar and Grill up in Cambria, a spot that's become a tradition for locals and travelers alike. But now he and his wife are stirring things up in slow with their latest venture, Todo Bueno. Means all good. I love that. It's a fast casual Mexican kitchen in the Slow Public Market, upstairs, can't miss it. And they're doing way more than just tacos. Way more than just Mexican food. I mean, this is a guy who is obsessed with balance, whether it's burger to bun ratio or building a team that gives a damn. Excited to welcome to the show restaurateur John MacKinnon. We come into the convo talking about Well, what else? Burger ratio. Let's do it.
That was one thing that I was thinking as I'm eating it. I think our burger, would stack up quite well to it.
So,
and I know that's a big,
that's
a
very big.
speak,
but also like that burger, kind of like Habit, kind of like some, they're great, but they're a little smaller, right? Like, you can fit the double patty ain't no thing. You have some substance to your burger. Your burger's got some
We do
sustenance.
a double patty too, and that sometimes makes people nervous. Like, oh, he's just packing way too much, So it's got good meat to bun ratio. Mine are, they're basically smash patties. It's called a 5-to-1. So they're around 3 ounces. I think an In-N-Out burger's like 2, and so it's a good amount. It's just 6 ounces, about a little over 6 ounces is what's on it, and just good ratios with everything. I shred my lettuce.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
You're a gangster.
I do that because that goes on top of the burger, and the sauce goes on the top bun and goes right on that.
Let's talk about lettuce, shall we? If we're going to delve,
it matters. All of that matters.
Okay, so let's talk about perfect burger stacking of condiments.
So I'm proudly obsessive compulsive restaurateur. So there's not anything that I haven't done that all of that has been given thought.
Okay, so how do we stack this up? Let's do it.
You toast your bun, you bring that in. My tomato goes on that bottom bun.
Next to the bread.
Right on the bread. We put a little bit of sauce down there because we like to have, plenty of sauce moistening everything.
Like your burger sauce.
Yeah. And I like that cold tomato there for when the burger goes on there with all its grease. Let's call it juice.
Yeah, of course. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
Flavor.
The beautiful stuff.
Like
yes.
the best burgers you can
stuff.
get are
yes.
the 80-20. The fat's what make them good.
For real.
And so anyway, so that kind of protects that bottom bun from turning into a mushy thing that's falling out of your hand halfway through the burger.
Great.
And so then we come with our burgers. Both of them will have a nice thick slice of American cheese on them. Why 2? In-N-Out probably thought of this. I didn't really go with 2 copying that. I just was making my burger, and I was like, all the flavor comes from the griddle.
Yeah.
So where you're searing that with the seasonings and things that you put on there is where the flavor is. So double the flavor when you do the two patties, right?
And then with the smash burgers, you get a little crisp on those, and you got literally 4 surfaces that you're playing with.
And we run our griddles nice and hot. It is a griddle. I like the searing that happens on a griddle as opposed to a fire grill.
Yeah.
And it brings its own thing, but I like what it does for what I'm doing. Next, we're going to put some onions on that cheese because we dice them
on the top patty.
On the top patty, so that stays in that cheese, sticks to it.
It's under the cheese?
It's what?
Under or over the cheese?
On top of the cheese.
On top of the cheese.
Yeah.
Got it. Good.
Just also that my burger, it's big and you got to hang on to it.
Especially what do you call it?
If you hang on to it, it's not going to be a mess in your hands halfway through.
What's like your premium burger called? Not Mile High. It's called something. It's got like a cool name.
So the all good, burger is our basic, but the Mile High. Yeah,
it is called Mile High.
It's Mile High.
I got it right.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Because
it's awesome.
When you see it, people come in, they're like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
So in our build, we put our onions on there. Pickles. I don't buy all sliced pickles that's sitting in vinegar, and the meat inside the pickle it's all vinegar, right? I buy them whole, and we slice them. I use these Vienna pickles that are like a top-notch taste.
Nice.
The middle tastes a little more like a cucumber.
Yeah.
And we slice those, to prep for a day's worth of work, right? So, and those are the little differences.
Totally.
A really good pickle. Like I have people, no pickles. Oh, those are
missing
really
out.
good.
You're missing out.
We let them, it works out good no matter what. If we're building the Mile High, at that point, you would put the bacon. We'd fold that a certain way that 2 nice slices of 1620 bacon would go on there. The avocado would go next. We'd smash the ball of shredded lettuce on top of that, iceberg. And then we put a healthy portion of sauce on the top bun and put that down on that shredded lettuce, which instead of like whenever slices of lettuce are there, it would squirt all out the side.
Yep.
That lettuce catches it.
It does.
So
nothing better than shredded lettuce.
Yeah. And I just think, it's those flavors.
That is perfect burger construction, John.
Yes. And we're getting really great compliments, not only from, your amazing compliments, but all the time.
Well, now, did you ever like wrestle with this? Okay, the place is called Todo Bueno. Obviously, we're going to talk Mexican in a minute.
I know. We said I was gonna,
And here we are, we're doing burgers. Like,
but the Mexican food is
well,
the
we'll
top
talk about it in a
first
second.
thing.
Then the
Yeah,
Mexican,
go.
the Mexican food is incredible. But did you ever go like, oh my god, we can't make a great, I'm thinking of like my conversations with like Gary Eberly. He's known for his cab, and then his Viognier wins all these awards. His all these other, it's like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be a cab house here,
right?
But do you ever? Is that something you think about?
Let me tell you, it's part of a spiel that I do, and then I love where you're going with that because some really great winemakers make all varietals. All right, let me hear your spiel. Anyway, so when people come in, I tell them about the Mexican food. That's what I worked long and hard on for many years. Coming up with the name, all kinds of things over the years. I can tell a story about that. But I'll say so. Really great Mexican food, daily basis. People tell us some of the best they've ever had. I don't like the bragging part. I say, check us out online. We got really great reviews, right? I go, then we got burgers. I said, and we do those really well. And, we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yes.
That was my passion to do the Mexican food, but nobody was doing burgers in the main food hall. And I've never been to a marketplace that didn't have a main food hall guy doing burgers. So, we did the burgers. And like I say, we put the same work into doing that. Yeah. And it sometimes I'm a little like, it competes well with the Mexican food, but that's fine.
It's working good. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Mexican food because these were things that you really wanted to accomplish. Now, before I think we get into the Mexican food, we can't quite understand the way you and your wife really wanted to capture the heart of slow and cuisine without talking about the 30 years that led up to it. And that is Moonstone Beach Grill, Bar and Grill. Yeah. This is a place that has been for a long time this hub of just, the tourism that you've seen over 30 years, how you have watched this county change in 30 years with this grill. How did this all come about? Before we get into when you and your wife kind of go on your own for Todo Bueno, let's talk about how this part of your journey began.
Yeah. Quick story is we moved to Cambria in 1989. And a few years before that, my father-in-law has always been in real estate. He kind of went to Cambria to retire, but of course he couldn't do that. And so he had he had built a couple of hotels, actually built them from scratch. And one of them was called Creekside Inn. And that particular one, he got all the family members said, hey, you guys want to pitch something in? Let's all do this together. So there's 7 family members that are owners of that hotel, right? And so along came, God, I'm going to blank on the name, Moonraker is what it was called. So it was a restaurant before us. Owner had it for about 15 years. And it was on Moonstone Beach Drive. And it was right next door to one of the hotels he had built there. So he decides to trade the hotel as part of, paying for that. And then money was put in on top of it. And so that in turn made us all still equal partners in the new business. Now, I was the only one with any sort of real restaurant experience, and it really was just because I'd been a busser and a waiter and worked at it for many years and before other things that I had gotten into before coming to Cambria. But initially, he did hire somebody to manage it, and that person did a great job of hiring some really good people in the kitchen. Right out of the gate, that person kind of was not really giving great leadership. All right. Had good knowledge, good person, but it just wasn't working. I kind of stepped up and said, I've ran businesses, Tom, for a long time. Weren't restaurant businesses, but we need leadership here. We've got good people in the kitchen. Let's lead them. Let's do it. The rest is kind of history. It did all work out. Some bumps and grinds early on. This is a tough business that a Yahoo like me was jumping in and doing it. We pulled it off. We have a great location. We had something helping a lot, but that doesn't make a success. The place was dying before we bought it.
That's amazing, and it's hard to even believe that. So tell me, because a lot of people go, "Oh, Moonstone Beach Grill and Cambria, like you must just print money." But this is obviously, we know, one of the toughest businesses on earth. We know that you're just a couple years coming out of a pandemic. So I'm so curious how such a legendary spot was able to create something that stuck around, and then where that put you guys in the meantime.
Yeah. So that was really, that was a tough time for restaurants. Little aspects that people don't get, like
a third of them closed in California.
Right. We really worked hard. I jumped in, my staff, we shut down for a month. And just because we weren't a to-go restaurant, we needed to, I don't know what this is going to be. We need to hang on to money and just, if I was open, I would be losing money. You know what I mean? So, but heard back from staff that, even as scary as it was, people wanted to come and they wanted to work. And so that's when we got to work on, making sure we went after anything government that was going on that could help the businesses. That was a full-time job because it was always a moving target with the help that was there and available.
How was the city during that time? I know certain cities were easier than others.
So we really, it started out a little slow, but right out of the gate, people wanted to get out.
Oh, yeah.
And so, people from the valley and stuff, they just got in their cars.
For real.
For the first time, Moonstone's kind of more of it's not really a beachgoers, beach. Like you go a little south and anytime all summer long, anywhere you could park, there's cars. That's what Moonstone turned into at that time.
Wow.
And so we're trying to run sometimes, you can use your outdoors only, or you can do to-go only. They went back and forth with all of that. We followed everything. I have something I pat myself on the back for. Supposedly we were super spreader places. And for a whole year and after that, we never had a single case.
Wow.
Of amongst my staff of 80 to 90 people.
Might be more luck than anything, though, but.
Well, no, we took it very seriously.
I'm sure you did, but I'm not saying all the people did. They didn't.
Right.
Right? This is a weird time.
One of the things is they weren't super. If you used a little common sense.
Yes.
And we spread the tables out. We did the things that mattered.
Right.
And we washed incessantly things, but it just really,
mattered. It mattered.
Mattered.
For sure.
And it mattered that, a compliment I got at one point, we had some people come in, it was in the first month or so, and they called me over to the table and they said, "Oh, thank you so much for what you're doing here. We've wanted to get out and do this. And quite frankly, the other restaurants that we had recently gone to, we were really scared at. But we love what you're doing here. We can see that you spread us out. We turned our parking lots into the restaurant.
People got so creative.
We built things overnight. Yeah. I had some contractors, God love, Ames Construction came and just, we built some things, propped up things, lit them, threw some tables. We had to pull tables out of the restaurant. A lot of times we weren't eating indoors. So we built different iterations, and it was a ball, buster.
Yeah, for real. And who comes out of a pandemic with another concept? Like, hey, honey, let's...
Yeah. I think my wife would still like to maybe shoot me on that.
Oh, my goodness. So you go to your wife at some point and go, hey, there's this place in this new slow public market. I think I got an idea. Let's go.
I do. I have. It kind of wasn't that. It was kind of by accident. I'd known about the public market. I had, a realtor that I knew from San Luis. We'd talked about maybe branching out before the public market or anything. But that was something that it took many years because of what it ran into. And I noticed that it was the buildings were starting to be built and stuff. So I just called him just because I love public markets. And I wasn't trying to solicit anything. But of course, he went into sales mode on me. But I just was like, hey, what's happening with that? I'm excited. There's going to be a public market. My wife and I, we've gone to Liberty Market in San Diego. There's one in Napa that's really good. Anyways, we love them. So he's like, yeah, it's going good. But, there's some opportunity here. I got some spots and blah, blah, blah. And so long story short, we negotiated and got an upstairs spot that it has its good and bad and challenges, but do you
feel visibility is a problem?
It's just funny. You get people that you'll talk to them downstairs. We hand out free tacos sometimes. Go walk around and hey, we're Todo Bueno. And said, oh, I didn't know there was anything up there. You know what I mean? It's like it's right there in front of you, big signs.
Right? Yeah.
Anyways, I'm not picking on it.
I get it. No,
I'm old school. I feel like we really have something special we're making.
You definitely do.
I get that feedback. I'm at the restaurant.
If you could take the concept to a different location, do you think you would?
I don't think so. I mean, I got to see this through. Yeah. It has its, I won't get into politics, it has its things that are challenges.
Yeah, no, of course.
I think what I have, we're building a reputation and we'll see where it goes in the future.
Some incredible Mexican food. In fact, when I look at what you put together just with your quesadillas, maybe one of the simplest Mexican dishes out there, you have captured something so good, and they're like lights out. Like, you don't forget them.
Good. So, about 5 years ago, I love quesadillas. I think it's the best Mexican dish. Tacos are always the best seller because that's what's known. You go to a place, you get tacos, right? But I want to say I truly was looking at making the quesadilla be the feature before it was cool. Nobody was doing that.
Right. Now you got restaurants named after it.
They're all over now.
Right.
So when I owned it, so Todo Bueno so I was working with names that we'd have quesadilla worked into it. But then, I realized, oh, dang it, this kind of has gotten out there. So all good. As I say, all good. I'd use that term lots because
Todo Bueno.
I totally stumbled into what was, I think, a great name. We get lots of compliments on it and lots of laughs with it. But so all good to me translates Todo Bueno. It's not how a Hispanic person would say it.
Sure, right.
I have that going for me.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, I had searched Mexican restaurant names 100 times. There's always 1,000 of them already out there, right? You just do a search, you can find them online. I searched Todo Bueno, and there was one little cafe in Texas called the Todo Bueno Cafe. And I was like, oh, see, this is a great name.
Yeah.
It meant to be.
Yeah.
So we came up with Todo Bueno. We threw the All Good Grill on there because we do have an eclectic mix of some other things. I like that, something you said earlier reminded me of this is people come in and they take a while. They're stuck at that menu because they're like, there's a lot to choose from. So,
but everything's good. I mean, these corn fritters.
Yeah.
I mean, the tacos are good. You got a lot of different kinds of tacos.
Yeah.
I've gotten your stuff via, DoorDash.
Oh, good.
It travels good.
Oh, good.
Something like you guys and your team is always so sweet that you guys always wrap everything. I mean, it's all done very thoughtful, and you could tell these people know hospitality.
Yes. Well, it's that's what we're about. If I learned, I've gone to the restaurant school of hard knocks, and learned it out in the field. They say if you have 10,000 hours in something, you can be an expert at it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm at about 30,000 at this point. So, but what I really try and enthuse my staff about is like hospitality on a really deep level. In my interview process, I talk about, hey, hospitality, you're friendly, you like people, and hey, you like serving food. Great. What I'm talking about is like really being somebody that likes to make a difference in other people's
lives.
It's a heart.
It's in your chest. Hospitality is really in your heart.
Yeah. And I give them a quick little story about like that maybe an unusual thing is that really good nurses might be some of the best hospitality people on earth.
You're right.
They work really hard. They get paid good, but they're not getting rich off of it. They work long hours, but I think nurses that do a great job go home, put their feet up at the end of the day, and they go take a deep breath and they say, hey, I made some people not doing very good today.
I served today.
Yeah.
I did a real difference.
I made a difference.
What's the one dish, and maybe I'll ask you for both these places, for both Todo Bueno and Moonstone, that you think has the power to really stop someone mid-bite and be like, I'm not forgetting this?
Well, the quesadillas is
I agree.
If you come in and you catch me at the front, and some of my staff has other things that are favorites too. And
love that jalapeno salsa, whatever.
The jalapeno cream. Yeah.
So good.
And that comes from Moonstone. Actually, that's another funny story. I early on when we had those chefs making everything, they were doing a good job. I had some really good Baja tacos at another place or a few times, and I loved them. And they had done the thing with the 2 dry corn tortillas, and they just had salsa and deep fried fish and some lettuce. It was number one, you need a cream sauce.
Yep, absolutely.
It has to have it. And so I always loved cooking. Before I got in this too, I was somebody that, my mom's a good cook.
Oh, wow.
Whenever there were barbecues and stuff, one of my buddies said when I got in this business, oh, John, you're where you're supposed to be, because I was the guy that threw the party, did the barbecue, did that kind of thing, right? Anyways, I decide, well, I'm just jumping in and I throw some things together to make a sauce, a white sauce, and came up with what we call the jalapeno cream. And we're well known for our fish tacos. I had those cooks. They were always a little, I made myself an apprentice in our own kitchen. So that was at that time that I, kind of took this on. So number one, I got the tortillas. I got rid of 2. I used 1. We put a little butter on them and grill them up on the griddle. It just makes the tortilla sing. It's not dry. It holds it together. It won't fall apart. And I made a white sauce. Funny thing with that white sauce, they would tell me, hey, you know just enough to be dangerous, because I'd come up with things that came out good, and these guys were more classically trained chefs.
Yeah.
And so they were a little irked at the owner coming in making some stuff.
Right, telling me how to do things, right.
That's something that was good. So anyways, it was funny, maybe only 5 years ago, I've evolved as a chef and, chef from the School of Hard Knocks, but I was like, oh, I should look at that sauce and maybe play with it a little, right? And so I got in and I thought made some changes. And, what we do is just blind taste things. Anytime you're going to mess with something iconic, if it works, don't fix it. But lo and behold, it was just magic. I couldn't make it better than it was.
Yeah.
It just really is
so
a sauce.
Jalapeno cream.
There's jalapenos in it. I can't give, everything about it, but definitely there's fresh jalapeno in it.
Is there any weird thing in there that we would be like, oh, damn, really?
So there is one little ad that I did at Todo Bueno, and it actually hasn't been an ad at Moonstone. Just because I haven't gotten around to it. A
little small move.
It's so there's a specific mustard.
Oh, interesting.
That I get that actually is not sold in bulk or to restaurants or anything. So I actually have to search out and buy these 5-ounce bottles of it. Oh man! And because it's a really unique flavored mustard,
and you just love it. It dials it in. That's so cool.
It really is a little twist on it that people like.
What's one behind the scenes philosophy, John, that maybe you live by in your restaurants that most guests might never see, but they'll definitely feel, when they sit down there?
Well, you touched on it that, I love that I have a great staff. And that thing that, listen, we work hard in this business. It's not rocket science, but I like to feel good about what I do. And I know when we do hospitality, and I explained this to them and the nurse story and everything. And, and we've had those stories where people are walking out on a regular basis. Doesn't that feel good? Like, don't you go home, when they come out and go, oh, wow, that food was really good. Thanks. Yeah. And you guys are so great. Thanks. Makes it fun. So I try to lead in a way that does that, and but it's the great staff too that I've been blessed with.
Do you welcome like businesses calling you saying, "Hey, we're doing a steering meeting. Can we get a bunch of tacos at noon?" Like, do you do things like that?
We do. We do a lot of catering, right? So there's a public space upstairs next door to us. So we cater a lot of the events that go there. We do, depending on size. I'm not set up, like a full caterer, but if it's the right size, we do it on case by case. Or even
just if you want to take it, they want to have it at their office.
We totally do that. I just did a shower for a nice lady having a baby, and for like 40 people, we can make up. We call it our taco party. We can do either a burrito party or a taco party. And so, it is definitely something I
didn't even think about that. How are your burritos? I bet those burritos are good.
They are wonderful. They're one of the most, tacos, like I say, they're good because your tacos
they're like street tacos with a little bit more. Like they're not super small, but they're like your street taco size. Yeah. But they're beefy and there's several bites.
We like to tell people, so it's a la carte how you get it, but 2 or 3 is a meal. Definitely you can get where you want to go with having a couple of them, because they are a smaller size, but there's a lot in them.
Yeah, no, and I love the way you said with the tortilla, and you were going to do corn.
Yes.
And decided
that's right.
flour.
We were talking before that. I didn't want to repeat myself. Yeah, fully intended on making my tacos with corn tortillas. I wok sear the meats, the chicken and the beef and the pork and our mushrooms. I love saute, and that's a little twist on what we're doing. Mexican food is usually grilled or fried or braised, boiled. And so anyways, loving saute, everything you cook in one pot, all the flavors build in that layer and layer, and using the 125,000 BTU wok, puts the searing in it. So it's just a wonderful thing.
Wow.
We make bone broths from scratch that we deglaze the meats with, and so it's got a nice glaze, and we have our Mexican mirepoix in there of onions and green chilies. And so when you have all of these layers of cool flavors, when I had it with the corn, I felt like the corn has a little more, flavors going on than the flour tortilla does. And so I was like, it's kind of competing with, the nuance of what's happening in this taco. And we cover it with a flavored slaw and pickled, onions and radishes and good stuff, right? So I had seen these flour street taco, kind of doughy tortillas. And I was like, well, let's give this a try. And so I toasted them up like I do my other ones and made that first taco. And it wasn't 2 or 3 bites. It was 1 bite. And I was like, oh, just the mouthfeel, it was comfort. And it just went well to let all the flavors in the taco sing. So.
Your chips are bomb too.
Well, thank you. I make them on a regular basis.
Really?
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Anything you fry.
Yeah.
The amount of time since it left the fryer starts diminishing. I love that you said with DoorDash, some things travel well, because for me, the chef, I don't like to see it go in a bag.
Well, you can't control it. Like you lose control right at that moment.
Yeah. And then,
I even noticed like when you had some of the things here, like you didn't have the regular clear plastic thing. Like the to-go things that you guys use are the ones that like Italian restaurants use. Mm-hmm. And the ones that you just had now, you put full and then slit it so the air would escape, right? Yeah, I mean, even slits on the side. Yeah, because who wants soggy anything?
You got to let it breathe. And so, I wanted you not to have this all, turned into moist, yuck. So I had my knife out. I'm like, I'm going to cut myself. I'm trying to rush here, poking holes in it. I need to go into the business of actually building a to-go container because all of them seal. They don't leave breathing. Yeah. And I can't believe that's the thing.
What would it be? Is this the kind of thing? Some stuff on the side? What is the best way to have it breathe?
So one of the things is I did slit the tops, but then I had to stack it.
Yeah.
So I'm sealing it back up.
Right.
So if I'm, the secret's out. Some industrious person, in the plastic world or whatever, metal's better. Yeah. Anyways, it's about putting, I used to actually at Moonstone, especially during the COVID thing, because we were doing a lot of to-go, we got a little poker and we were putting holes in the sides of the containers. We were using the clamshell containers.
Everyone uses these. I'm not a big fan of the clamshells. I'm not a big fan of, everyone uses these little cardboard gift packages.
Well, and some of them are eco-friendly, and I get that, but they become part of your meat. They become part of your food.
And then they never close right. The little tap thing, right? They always kind of like bowing open a little bit.
So these are eco-friendly because it's recyclable. Yeah. It's tin foil, and it works really well. And I like the cost. I've been figuring that out. The cost of all that stuff is not insignificant.
How do you kind of manage right now with times coming out of, tough times, inflation, crazy? You experienced that. I mean, supply chain issues a couple of years ago. Everything is, a lot of headwinds for the restaurant owner, the person who has to charge the customer. And then customers obviously are going to feel the brunt of that. It's just the way the economy works. How has it been and how are you reeling now?
It's a tough headwind. Starting a new business period, from years ago, I know it's a long time ago for me, but the finish line has been pushed so far out. To get your place, even breaking even is really hard to get to. There's been so much inflation that happened to us through costs, and we have minimum wage. It's not a thing. I'm not putting it down or what, but when you change over a 5-year period a wage to people 100%, that has to get passed on. So it's gotten really expensive. That's why I kind of built a fast casual. Haven't proven this part of the concept correct yet, but I'm giving very upscale food that you would see at my other restaurant.
Right.
And, upscale flavors, maybe I'd put them on par with most any restaurant.
Easy.
But in a fast casual, real casual situation where I'm hopefully saving money and allowing you to have that entry level, experience, but with our good hospitality, I'd say to people on a regular basis, I go out and clear some plates and stuff. We're the fast casual that aspires to be full service.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Do yourself a favor. Head upstairs to the Slow Public Market. Check them out. And the tacos, man, those quesadillas, though, are nuts. They're so good. To that jalapeno cream sauce, stop it. Watch your lips. You're going to start dreaming about it. It's all there. It's all done with love. And you can also visit, of course, Moonstone Beach Bar and Grill next time you're in the North Coast. Definitely one of the best views and meals you'll find. Links to their website and socials all in the show notes. Thanks again, John, for being up and at 'em. All right, don't forget pinkdrink.org to get in on Pink Drink. Get your tickets, just $65. We're going to be opening up for some winning. Is that tomorrow? We're starting that tomorrow. bringing in some winning to Pink Drank. Tickets, they go for a great cause. Woods Humane Society, of course, the Elks National Foundation. Get at it, pinkdrank, DRANK.org. Thanks so much to Moonshiner Collective for being up and at 'em. Moonshiner Collective, they're doing concerts in the Plaza this Friday. Can you believe that's already here? Can't wait for that. We should get Dan on the show this week to pump that up. I'm going to give him a text right now. Also, thanks to Josh Clapper of Timbre Winery, Timbre, TimbreWinery.com. You can taste their wines in the village of Arroyo Grande. And mucho thank yous to them for giving us the Timbre Lowbro Studio, where we recorded this episode of Up and Adam. I love it. Thanks to Moonshiner Collective. I already said that. Yes, moonshinercollective.com. Stream their music, original music on the show called Start Again. I did say that already. Yes. Thanks to you for rating, reviewing, subscribing to the show wherever you listen to it, sharing what we do here with a friend. It means an absolute ton. Thank you so, so much. You want your business to connect with our audience here on Up and Adam. We got a new partner coming on tomorrow, I think. But if you want to connect to this audience, go to adammontiel.com. Just click that connect tab and let's chat. I hope your week is going fantastic. Hope you're having a great day. Till tomorrow, I'm Adam Montiel. Thanks again for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.